Alright, everyone, this is the fifth episode now, I think, of the Crit Play. I think this will be coming out fifth. And it's the first DLC chapter of the game. I'm Woody, I'm here with Kai. Hi, Kai.
Hi. Awesome. I'm glad to be back, and we have some interesting things to talk about.
So, a few episodes ago, I believe it's in the outtakes for part 2 of this, we talked about the DLC a bit, and we talked about what our expectations were and our hopes were. And I specifically remember talking about how my biggest hope for the DLC, which I did not think was going to happen at all, was that each piece would be about the size of Artorias of the Abyss. And I said, if it can hit that and be good, I am going to be amazed. And I think it kind of did.
Oh my god, I don't even remember that. What were my expectations? I think I kind of measured it content-wise against Artorias of the Abyss, but it's kind of hard to do because it costs less than Artorias of the Abyss did, so I don't think I have to deliver the same amount of content. But, yeah, I was very impressed with the bang I got for my buck, for sure.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. I exceeded my expectations. I still have a couple of problems with it, and they're kind of a couple of unfortunate, weird problems that I didn't really ever expect to have with a Souls game, but I guess I'll get into those later. So yeah, it sounds like we both liked it.
Yeah, I loved it. It has, oh god, the level design is stellar. It has some really memorable boss fights and some incredibly clever set pieces, and it has maybe my favorite enemy and my favorite boss fight in the Souls series.
Really?
This DLC knocked it out of the park for sure.
Alright, well let's get into it then. So the first thing to talk about, I guess, is accessing it, which, for some reason, I thought they announced that you weren't going to be able to access this until you hit, like, the very end of the game and got the Ashen Mist Heart, which ended up not being true.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and then I loaded up my game and it gives you the key item you need to access it, which is a little strange. I think maybe one way that Dark Souls 1 achieved this a little bit more organically is it just made a new enemy spawn and then you do some other stuff, and it takes like 5 steps to accomplish, and you probably wouldn't really do it without the aid of the internet. So I guess if someone's just, buying Dark Souls 2 DLC, they probably wouldn't have to read up on how to access it in order to do it. Especially because you have to go to that area to progress the story.
Yeah, and it's very obvious when you're in the Rotten's Cave that there's a thing there.
Yeah, it was a little jarring because they completely changed one of the rooms to accommodate the entrance to this DLC, which was, I think, handled in a certain way, can be kind of like disturbing and creepy and really cool. I don't know how I feel about it, really. I think it's mostly the fact that the item you need to access the DLC is literally dropped into your lap when you load your game. That felt a little lazy.
Yeah, they could have done something with it, and it's one of those, obviously the best case scenario would have been to just have it be, this is an organic new area on the world map, and not like, this is a funky portal you have to take to like a zone that's completely separate from everything else. But I mean, I can kind of see why they did that, and most of the rest of the map is like that already anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really have a problem with it being in terms of setting, and it being a functionally or arguably different temporal place than the rest of the game. But yeah, the method of getting there I didn't feel was as clever as Artorias of the Abyss. But man, the area itself, wow.
And I guess one other thing I mentioned, which I suppose I didn't really consider this yet, but this DLC, being where it is and being before Castle Drang Lake, makes getting the 1,000,000 souls to get in there earlier a lot easier now.
Yes. Granted, I did this New Game Plus, but so I was on my New Game Plus character, and I forgot you can't use a bonfire seeding until you kill the area boss. I wanted to do it to New Game Plus because I was afraid it was going to be too easy. So when I played the DLC, I had about 200,000 unspent souls because I didn't want to level up. I took off my Ring of Blades, and I didn't min-max my character as much because I didn't want the DLC to be too easy. And I finished it from start to end without losing or spending any souls. So I started it with about 200,000, and I ended it with about 950,000. So on New Game Plus, without grinding really or anything, I got about 750,000 souls. So
I know from having just played this earlier, killing the like penultimate two bosses of the DLC in just normal game gives you about 200,000 souls.
yeah, New Game Plus, the ultimate boss, I think gives you around 140,000 or something. Like it's a really large amount.
So yeah, could be a cool way to access Dragon Life early, which is actually one of my largest complaints with this game in general. But I suppose we'll talk about that later on. So anyway, you access the DLC, and the first area you have here is Shulva.
Sanctum City.
Sanctum City, yes.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool area. It's since it's like a Mayan themed area, we haven't really seen any of that in the series before, or a whole lot in general, I feel like. I think it's kind of an underutilized visual theme.
I agree. It felt very fresh for the Soul series, and I'm going to mention this a few times because it is extremely relevant, I think. Almost all of the level design for the DLC felt like it was something Lara Croft would traverse. It felt so 90s Tomb
Yes.
Raider. There
It
is
was-
one
Go ahead.
room in particular that is pretty much lifted from the first Tomb Raider game. So if anyone has played Saint Francis Folly of the original Tomb Raider, like one of these very long vertical, it's actually probably the coolest room in the DLC. When you descend right before a boss fight, that's straight from Tomb Raider 1. The clever little puzzle elements and the level design and how it all overlaps, and it's very exploration heavy. Absolutely, I was in heaven. I felt like I was playing Tomb Raider again, a proper Tomb Raider at least. So
Yes, this entire DLC is basically Dark Souls a la Indiana Jones. Especially the middle section, with the like crazy traps and doors and switches and everything that you've got to hit. I love that. It feels Indiana Jones and Sen's Fortressy. It's all kind of like both of those levels, because I'll compare it to Sen's Fortress a lot, but both Sen's Fortress and this feel very video gamey, but very consciously video gamey. And they do it in such a way that, like, you can see all the inner workings of them, and I think that's really cool. That they sort of acknowledge, like, yes, this is a video game level, but these cool mechanisms, they all have, like, logical explanations.
yeah, I totally agree. I think that the Souls games, I think, are at their best when the level design maybe doesn't function best in terms of contextualization for the world it's in, but when it applies really creative and interesting circumstances for the player to have to overcome. Iron Keep, in terms of level design, makes no sense. It's completely bananas, but I think it's one of the most interesting and cool parts of the game. And I think that this is likewise the same place here. You have trap-ridden Mayan temple with a really complex overlapping level design. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it makes for a hell of a fun video game level, so I'm glad they went in that direction.
Yeah, and going through this first area here, you get your standard Dark Soulsian enemy faction of the poison zombie dudes, who, like, I'm not disappointed with them by any means. It's just one of those, they're such, like, an enemy. Like, if you were to draw me, like, the standard profile of a Dark Souls enemy, they would be them. And they're not bad by any means, but it's just, they're there. They're there and they will fight you.
Yeah, for sure. I wish that maybe a couple of those earlier encounters had some other factors in play. I think that, I mean, they have the puzzle elements. They have ones with archers, some are poisoned, so if you backstab them, you're probably going to get poisoned, which, by the way, is a really cool deterrence to backstabbing.
Yes.
Not just a method where, oh, the enemy's going to sit on you, or, oh, you can't backstab them. Like, that's a very clever method where it's like, you can do this, but, I mean, there's going to be a cost, and I really like that.
And this area does introduce the kind of cool puzzle platform idea of where you attack the little pillars, and that raises up a platform. Now, initially when I got into the DLC and I was doing this, I was pretty hyped up for it, because I thought it was a cool idea, and it was sort of the first moment when I realized, oh, I can raise cover so that it makes these archers not be able to shoot me from where they're standing. and then I can hit them with arrows and activate it from long range and like mess with all these platforms and stuff. That was really cool, but I kind of felt like it ended up being a little underutilized.
Yeah, it applies only to some of that level. I think it would be amazing if invaders could mess with the switches. That would do outstanding things. I think that's really like, you know, an area can be transformed when applied to PvP, and in this regard, I feel like that's something they absolutely have to patch in, is let the invaders mess with level design. But yeah, I just thought in terms of traversal, all of the ways you can kind of navigate the very vertical areas with the switches was really neat. So
yeah, verticality is definitely something I felt Dark Souls 2 was kind of lacking in, and this area makes up for it a lot. Probably the coolest idea is activating the platforms to run across them to get to the hidden bonfire. Either that or the weird pagan tree thing.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm too afraid to attack it. What's up with that?
Okay, well, A, it respawns, and
Okay.
B, if you attack it with a whip, specifically, it will cast out a mist that restores your item health. So, like, repairs your swords and stuff.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
really weird.
It gives me very strong vibes of the weird ant thing in the gutter.
Oh yeah, that's like there's like only like 2 of those, and they're in one room, right? I think. And
I
they
think
don't
there's
move.
only one.
I thought
there's
there
only-
were 2. Maybe there's only 1.
I think there's only one, because it's like the
Yeah.
weird ant queen enemy that appears to do nothing.
There's also the parasite in Blighttown from the first game. I guess each Souls game just has that weird creature that's like, what the fuck?
Well, the parasite in Blighttown actually attacked you, though, didn't it? Like, if you got close, like the weird thing on the side of the cliff. That's what you're talking about, right?
Right. I never got close to it though. I always ran it behind it, and if you did like a lunging attack from behind, like when you went down and got behind it, like you could kill it in one hit. That's right.
No, that was just
And-
kind of like a weird mini-boss thing, I think, because that thing actually attacked you and, like, had a
Oh.
purpose. And, yeah, like, if you got close, it would try to kill you. And, neither, I think, because I looked up this enemy, and apparently it's called the Pagan Tree, is the name we're going for with it. I don't know if that's official or anything.
Okay.
But there is that and then the Ant Queen thing, and neither of those appear to do anything. So I will be interested to see, especially the Ant Queen too, because that was in the vanilla game. So I will be interested to see if that ever evolves into anything.
Yeah, that's kind of curious. It would be interesting to see if we see a theme of pagan trees from DLC 1 to DLC 2 to DLC 3. Hey, I heard there was a really cool bonus if you finish all 3. Maybe we get a pagan tree mini boss or something.
There have been all these sort of epileptic fan theories of like crazy stuff the tree could possibly be. Like one theory is it's supposedly Yorg, and like that's what happened to him after getting corrupted with all the poison and everything, and that's now what he is.
Oh. I wonder, there has to be some significance to a whip specifically.
Yeah.
That, where he's like,
And
I'm gonna
because I believe
reward
too,
for
it's you can
whipping
find
me.
a whip in the room with him too.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I did. Okay, that's cool. Huh.
It's either in the room or near him. I can't remember. But okay. Anyway, advancing on, the second area of this DLC is the Dragon Sanctum Temple thing,
Right.
and this area is awesome. It has really cool enemies, which you said this might be one of your favorite enemies in the game. Is it the ghost guys?
The ghost guys. Oh man, that like eureka moment when oh god, I'm gonna go on for a while, so you have to bear with me. Okay, so you walk into that room where there's the 2 of them, and at first glance, I thought they were players. So first of all, I mean, they're distinctly not, obviously, but kind of hiding your enemy as players is so cool. And they don't. I was like, man, why are there 2 players? Like this room is like symmetrical, and they're both kind of mirroring each other, and it's perfectly. That's weird. And then I've seen messages like, beware ghost or something. I'm like, oh, I get it. And at first, I was distracted because of the dark emanating bodies on the sarcophaguses, a little bit further in the room that the ghosts are in front of. And I was like, oh god, I wonder what that's all about. Some awful thing is going to rise from that coffin and fuck me up. So I was less concerned with the ghostly apparition standing in front of them. And then, I'm fighting these guys, and I'm like, God, I have to use pyromancy or lightning spells, and I do no damage. Like, I have to use all my spells and so many lightning arrows, or I guess my bow of wand, to finish these guys off, and it takes forever. And I'm like, God, there's got to be a better way to do this. But then I'm like, whatever, I killed them. You get further in, and then you start suddenly fighting like 6 at a time, and they're patrolling these hallways, and it's like, it's really scary and intense. And a bit later, when I was stuck, I went back, and I found that I had that eureka moment where I was like, you know what, I'm going to see what that body on the coffin is all about. So I shoot it with my bow, and it crumbles, and then the ghost materializes into an enemy you can fight. That is so brilliant. Then I go back to the more complex hallway with the spikes and stuff, and I explore a bit, find the ladder, and it takes you, and there's so many ghosts, and it takes you to the room where there's like 8 of the sons of bitches lining the walls, which is one of the coolest rooms in the series. And here I got my first taste of the ghost Sanctum Knights that also fire the crossbows.
Yes.
They're armed with crossbows too. I don't know why I didn't notice that. They have the crossbow little scabbards on their hip. But yeah, I was like, they got crossbows too? These enemies are so cool. So I'm like fighting them while running around and destroying all of their bodies. And I was just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. So that was like maybe the highlight of the DLC for me. And that's saying a lot because I loved a lot about this DLC.
Well, you've described pretty much everything that I was going to talk about with these guys.
Sorry,
Other than that,
I loved it so much. So
no, that's fine. So I guess my other points I will get into are they have awesome armor.
Yes, is that obtainable? I don't think it is.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Yeah, you can get there's a few pieces around the level that you can pick up, and if you kill them, you can get their main armor to drop. I've been through this DLC 3 times now, and I've only gotten the main set of armor to drop once, so it might be pretty rare.
bummer. Okay, I'll have to be like.
But
I know I wasn't very receptive of most of the stuff I picked up, except for that puzzling sword, which has
Yes, let's talk about
for
that.
dexterity. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't used it. I just apparently it looks cool. So what's that all about?
I haven't used it much. I mean, it's Ivy's sword from Soul Calibur.
Wait, does it transform into like a whip or something?
Yes, it does.
What? Oh my god!
Yeah,
Oh, that's so cool.
the strong attacks turn into a whip.
Oh my, dude. Okay, I'm so like after this is over, I'm bringing that up and I'm messing with that. That sounds so cool.
It's like whips, not great. It's a really cool sword. And yeah, it's got S scaling and dex. I think I've seen some like preliminary postings on it that say like, yeah, if you dedicate a build to it, it can actually be pretty good. I don't think it's like high level PvP viable or anything, but it's definitely fun to mess around with. And
Cool.
that combined with Jorg's spear, which I don't know, have you gotten that yet?
I might have. There's a lot of stuff like I don't
Okay, 'cause
usually don't use the stuff from the DLC. So
Jorg's spear is the boss weapon for Sign's soul, or Sign soul.
no. Okay, then I haven't got it.
Okay, it is a spear that it's a lot like Santier's spear, and the weak like the R1 attacks are the Lance moveset, and then the R2 moveset is a combination of Halberd and Twin Blade moves.
Really?
Yeah, it's a pretty unique weapon. Also, it has it's super long range too. It's giant because it's actually the spear that is stabbed through Sign.
Oh, I'm noticing that's a theme among Dark Souls dragons, by the way. But
Yes.
wow, that's really cool. Huh.
And yeah, it's a pretty cool weapon because I have a character. My first character I went through this is my original build of this game, which was just like Halberd quality build, nothing else. And I am having quite a bit of fun using it in the rest of the game now.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah.
And I like that they have both of these weapons in here: this puzzling sword and Jorg's spear. because one of my big disappointments with Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 in comparison to Demon Souls is that they feel like they lack a lot of the kind of cool, unique weapons that Demon Souls did. Like, every class of weapons in Demon Souls kind of had, like, a couple really stand out, like, this works completely differently from everything else, and it has all these cool effects, and a lot of those we haven't really seen since, and I am a big proponent of seeing more of these, like, unique weapons with unique movesets and unique hits and attacks and stuff like that, and weird combinations of movesets, and I really want to see more of these. So, I don't really care if the DLC gives us lots of gear in the future, but as long as each piece of DLC gives us, like, 2 or 3 more of these awesome weapons, I am super down with that.
Yeah, Artorias of the Abyss kind of did this too. You got the Gold Tracer, which has a pretty wild moveset. It's a shame we never got that awesome crossbow from Marvelous Chester, though.
His unique moveset crossbow.
Yeah.
I think it was the only time an NPC in that game actually had a unique moveset, too. That you couldn't get as the player.
Oh, no, Andre of Astora can dropkick your frights off, so... Yeah, if you piss him off, he dropkicks you. I've seen hacks where, like, you can, like, you know, set Andre as player model and then use his dropkick and he, like, kicks a zombie, like, 10 feet away. It's really funny. But anyway, yes.
Unique weapons? Anything on them else on that?
No, I haven't used them, so I have nothing to add. Except that I'm going to use this puzzling sword as soon as I get the chance.
Yes, so definitely check that out.
Oh, wait, no, I have a question, in case you know.
Yes, what?
If you ascetic the area and you get a second puzzling sword, can you, like, use them in tandem, like, dual wield them, power stance them, and will they
I have not tried that. I don't think they count them as a special weapon class. So I would be surprised if you could, because I think they're just qualified as long swords, so they would probably just be the dual longsword moveset.
It would be sick as hell if you could power stance them, and then even if it just reused, like, the power stancing strong attack with the whip, like, you could, like, use both at the same time in whip mode or something. But,
if I'm remembering correctly on the puzzling sword too, weak power attacks, or one-handed and two-handed power stance attacks are different too.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, because I think, like, the two-handed one is like a spin, and the one-handed one is like a long-range stab.
That's pretty sweet.
So, anywho, yeah, it's a cool weapon. So, but I want to move on to the next big part of the DLC, which is a certain Black Phantom invasion by...
oh, yeah! Oh, man, this guy...
Mr. Jester Thomas.
I'm almost going to say this DLC has 4 boss fights, because this guy... As long as you don't use Profound Still, this guy is a boss, essentially. And it's especially awesome because when you're going through the DLC, or normally, he's right in front of a fog wall, so you're thinking, I gotta fight this guy and then I gotta fight a boss? And there's not a boss on the side, but I'm like, I'm so far in, I haven't fought a boss yet. Why is this happening? Did you beat him your first try?
No, but he didn't kill me.
Oh, really?
Well, because the first time I fought him, I was bum rushing through the area, and I hadn't killed all of the ghost dudes yet, because I hadn't, like, hurt their statues or found the bonfire there.
Right.
So I was running through, and I had a train of, like, 3 ghosts following me.
Oh.
And I got down to his area, and saw him get summoned in, and then I got killed by 3 ghosts.
That sucks, because when I had, I think, at least 1 or 2 following me, and when I went to go fight him, like, one of them started to follow me into the room, and then, like, he hit his aggro range or something and went back, and then I was able to fight Thomas by myself. So yeah, I was in a similar situation, but I guess it ended up differently. I killed him, by the way, so...
I killed him my first time I actually fought him for real, and it was a
Gotcha.
super intense fight.
It was. It takes forever. Oh, God.
Yes. Because he uses some tricks. He's got things. He's got systems.
Yeah, he is like, he is almost like a version of one of the bosses that you fight, the optional bosses from the DLC, where he's almost like a player, but not quite.
Yeah.
He definitely betrays some game mechanics, which is fine,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He's definitely
Also,
got more casts than he should have.
I think he has infinite casts on whatever he wants all the time.
Yes, he has infinite
got
casts on
99
everything.
attunement. And I have to ask, is he the only NPC or invading phantom to make a gesture in the series?
I believe so, yeah.
That
I
is-
think
oh,
Marvelous
man.
Chester might do something, but if it is, it's just a special animation.
Right, yeah, because a lot of his stuff is specialized, which is super cool. But yeah, the fact that, like, this guy just summons in, and he's like, this one's me. It's like, God, that was so cool. I love that. Oh, man. I forgot another reason why that area is so amazing, and the bestiary of this DLC is just top tier.
And I would say, I really hope there are more of these, because the thing this really reminded me a lot of is the Black Phantom NPCs from Demons, which have been sadly absent in the series since then.
My opinion of you hinges greatly on what you think of this boss fight, so I'm really curious about what you think of this fight. Of
The
Queen
fight
Alana.
against Alana, I think, is mechanically interesting, but